pod bay doors.
Greetings and welcome to another exciting episode of The Cinematic Traveler. I am your intrepid movie exploring host Chris, and on this episode we get to review a film picked by last month's movie quote contest winner, and this one, oh god, this one. Why does this movie keep hanging around in cinematic history? But yes, it is the 1997 Paul W.S. Anderson directed film Event Horizon. And perhaps I have tipped off my feelings about that film a bit early. Oh, what could I possibly think of this movie? But anyway, I can't wait to talk about it. Maybe, possibly. Let's see how long I could drag this episode out before I actually get to the movie. Before we get there, if you could follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Find me on Instagram at Cinematic Traveler Pod, or my email address, thecinimatictravelerpod@gmail.com. Leave me reviews, subscribe. I've already said all that. You know the shit. And you've listened to podcasts and watched YouTube videos before. So let's not waste any time with that. I will say before we get into this episode officially, I was going to review another film this weekend as well, and something happened. For the second time in my movie-going life, I actually got up and walked out and left a movie by my choice, not because something happened. I was going to review Megan 2.0. Should I tell you my Megan 2.0 story? But like I said, I got up and walked. The only other movie I've ever walked out of was Batman and Robin because, well, yeah. Anyway, I knew I was in trouble with Megan 2.0 because when I walked into the movie theater, there were only 3 people in there, and they were all middle-aged men, and I was like, oh, God, please, don't let this be some sort of police bust here. I don't want to get dragged to jail. I'll be like, no, I've got a podcast, please, here, listen. Nobody else is, you listen. But yeah, I got about halfway in it. That movie really sucked. Unfortunately for you, you'll only get one episode. And unfortunately for Event Horizon, you now have my undivided attention. And yes, this movie was picked by last month's movie quote contest winner, Levi. Why do you hate me, Levi? I don't know. Everybody help me here with this. I need more people to play the contest. Really bad. No, I'm just messing with you. This show is going to be all over the place because I am off of my medication. It's 1,000 degrees here in Charleston, South Carolina, so I think I'm suffering a heat stroke as I wear a shirt and tie while I record this, so God only knows what's going to happen. So before I do pass out, let's go ahead and talk about, please, why do we have to do this? Event Horizon.
Yeah, it's going to be fun on the bun.
And as I mentioned, this came out way back in the year of our Lord, 1997. And it is directed by legendary filmmaker Paul W.S. Anderson. Oh, I laugh because he's legendary for all of the wrong reasons. Now, I'm not ashamed to admit I actually did see this in the movie theaters. And I felt about the same then as I do now. As I mentioned earlier, this movie has become sort of a cult movie now. People really like this movie a lot, and I have watched it since people have built it up over the years, and well, what can I say about this? You know, as the last woman I had intimate relationships said to me, come on, let's get this over with. Barney will be home anytime soon. Let's make a bam bam. And that is a joke, you see, because I was saying I was having sex with Betty Rubble, and she was from the Stone Ages, if you remember the Flintstones. So what I'm basically saying is that I haven't had intimate relations since the Stone Ages. You get the joke. This isn't going to work if I have to explain all of these things. Oh, Lord, help me. Hey, quick poll question. Who would you rather be with intimately, Betty Rubble or Wilma Flintstone? I always liked Betty a little better. I thought she would be a little freakier, as it were. But Wilma does have that bone in her hair. It could work as like a little handler. All right, I'm really going off the rails already. Let's talk about this damn movie. Levi, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I didn't even do any notes or write up a plot synopsis or anything. Can you tell my level of enthusiasm for this movie? All right, plot synopsis. We are in the future, 2047, I believe, and a ship known as the Event Horizon that is testing out an experimental gravity drive engine that will allow it to travel through time and space in mere moments, as opposed to the lengthy journey that modern spacecraft in that era are taking. Well, the ship has disappeared for several years, and now suddenly it has reappeared, orbiting the 8th planet of our solar system, Neptune. And really, I'm already disappointed in Paul W.S. Anderson and the writer of this film, because there are so many jokes that could have been made if this was discovered around Uranus. Oh, what have you done to me? I could have just gone for hours on that. But nonetheless, it's in Neptune. This is when we meet the man who invented the gravity drive that the Event Horizon used. I can't remember this character's name. We're just going to call him not Dr. Grant, because he is played by Sam Neill. And since he is an expert on the Event Horizon and the engine that made it disappear and reappear, he has been dispatched onto the rescue ship Lewis and Clark that is commanded by Captain Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, and some other people. Well, they're going off to find this ship and see what the fuck happened. Anyway, so off they go, and they have to go into the sleeping pods, much like another film I remember. What is that movie? I don't know. And they awaken, and we get some witty banter from the crew as they reach Neptune some 56 days later, and they find the Event Horizon just drifting in orbit, but no crew is aboard. So they have to venture into this abandoned vessel, this ghost ship, as it were, on the edge of our solar system. Well, as the crew goes in to explore the ship and see what happened, one of the members goes into the engineering department and finds the gravity drive, when suddenly a door opens to somewhere. And much like the stupidity in this movie, he, for some reason, gets drawn into this hole. And then when he comes back out, he is a different man. Oh, that reminds me of my youth. Anyway, he comes back out and he is catatonic, comatose. That reminds me of my youth as well. And everybody is confused as to what to do. They also find blood, and they find a corpse on the ship, and strange things begin to happen, and strange visions of people that have been lost, and all of our crew members' lives begin to appear. And slowly this ship turns into a haunted house nightmare. Crew soon discovers that the Event Horizon did not traverse across space and time. Instead, it went into another dimension filled with suffering and gruesome deaths and gore and pain and torment and pure evil, second only to what's going on inside Donald Trump's head. Oh no, I made a political joke on this show. He made fun of Donald Trump. He needs to be deported. Yes, please. Yes, please. How about Italy? Germany, Switzerland, Austria, somewhere in there? Maybe Ireland? If you are going to deport me, please, business class only. That's all I ask. Oh boy. If you're getting offended by anything I say, all I can tell you is lighten up, Francis. Hint, hint. Now, as the crew has realized that they are in deep shit, the crew member that was comatose suddenly awakes, and all he can say is something like, "We're all gonna die." Hint, hint. What's that? 2 movie quotes in this one. Oh my god, I'm going crazy. But they're trying to get away, but now Sam Neill's not Dr. Grant is suddenly Sam Neill's not Dr. Grant, but evil, not Dr. Grant, as he is possessed by the ship, and he will not allow the crew to leave. So again, they see horrible things, and people begin to die in gruesome, awful ways, and they fall because they're stupid. They get blown out into space. And then one of the comic relief characters comes in and saves people, and then they decide something like, I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Hint, hint, yes, that's the third movie quote. Oh my God. Here we are at the end of the month, and I'm just throwing movie quotes around. It's crazy times on this show. God, I feel really sorry for you if this is the first time you're listening or watching. You're probably never going to tune back in, but whatever. I don't care. So, as I mentioned, that wraps up my plot synopsis, whatever the hell that was that I gave you for Event Horizon. So, let's go ahead and move into the positives of Event Horizon.
Sounds pleasant.
And I guarantee this will not take long. I will say I do like the concept of this movie. I think this is a great idea. It checks off some boxes that I like as a horror movie, sci-fi movie. Pair those together, you got some haunted house stuff, some paranormal activity, as it were, on this spaceship. So I do have to give some props to the filmmakers for actually trying to do something different. However, they gave it to Paul W.S. Anderson to direct, and, well, we shall get to that momentarily. I also liked, if we're going to talk about the space stuff and the sci-fi stuff, I like the design of the Event Horizon. It's kind of this sort of gothic horror movie type design. It makes no practical sense, but fuck, who cares? It looks good. I like the little meat grinder thing that the one crewman has to walk into to get to the gravitational drive. I like that room with all the spikes coming out and that big metal ball thing spinning around. That was a cool look. I like the way that some of the ship is decorated in human gore and blood from what happened to the previous crew. So I thought that was a pretty cool. Actually led to probably the only scene that I found to be creepy, or I guess fall into a good horror moment. A lot of it is just jump scares, but I think the one lady, she comes onto the bridge and she finds a little spot of blood. She's like, I got a spot of blood here. And then some lightning flashes and you see the windows and they're just covered in blood. So that was a pretty good shot. Paul W.S. Anderson, I'll give you credit for that one. But yeah, this is a gory movie. That's another positive. I know that a lot of the gore was cut out because apparently it was extremely graphic to the point where it was making people sick, and I'm really disappointed that that version never saw the light of day. Apparently all that footage was destroyed or something like that in some accident or whatever, so we'll never ever see what any of those effects look like. But even as is, it still has a lot of gore, a lot of eye stuff, a lot of people popping out eyes. Not that you see the eyes popping out, but you get empty eye sockets with blood all over them and scars and body parts and fire. And it's pretty bloody and gory and nasty. So I do appreciate that. My final positive for this film is the cast is really amazing, which leads to my disappointment in this movie that we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, let's start off with Sam Neill. Sam Neill as an actor ranges from being good in everything to being great in movies. So he has no real bad movies under his belt that I could see, or at least bad performances. So you always get a solid performance from him as this, he's a scientist, and then eventually he goes crazy, and maybe he's been on ship the whole time. He never left. Who gives a fuck? I'm not putting that much effort into it. You got Lawrence Fishburne as the captain. Captain Morpheus. No, Captain Miller. Let's be serious for a moment. For Levi. Levi, I'm trying to be serious for you, to give you an honest to God good episode. I'm failing miserably. But of course, Lawrence Fishburne is good. You've got Kathleen Quinlan. She plays, I think, one of the medics. You've also got Jolie Richardson, Richard T. Jones, another guy I don't know anything about. Oh, and two that I really like, Jason Isaacs, who you probably are most familiar with from the Harry Potter series. He was Malfoy's dad or whatever. And again, another actor I really love. Every time he shows up in something, I've always liked him since I saw him in, I think, Dog Soldiers. That's Sean Pertwee, a British actor. I guess he's British. I don't want to offend him. But yeah, ever since I first saw him, I think everything he comes in, he adds something to a character that can have nothing. And all of these actors do the best they can with what they got. Unfortunately, this was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. So I guess we'll go ahead and just move into the negatives of Event Horizon.
Uh-oh, I don't like the sound of that.
And this probably won't take long either. I've already devoted way too much of my life to Event Horizon. If I never watch that movie again, I still have spent too much time looking at that movie. I'm going to start with the obvious, Paul W.S. Anderson. Although I will say this is probably his best movie. Maybe this or Soldier. Although I will say I do have a soft spot for Alien vs. Predator, but I know that movie's bad. So I just appreciate the awfulness of that movie. I will give him credit. I believe this is probably his best movie, but that bar he has set very, very low. If you don't know him, he did all of those damn Resident Evil movies that are god awful, and he's done other shit. He's just crap. And it's the same stuff here that drives me crazy with him. As I mentioned in the positives, I mean, you got a really great idea for a movie. You got a great cast. And yet, you're basically just copy movies left and right. I mean, the opening scene with Sam Neill, where he's upside down in the spaceship, it's a cool shot, but it was done in 2001. You've got, God, it rips off, what other movies? The Shining, you got a scene where blood pours in the hallway. Oh, yeah, I saw that in China. Aliens is all over this movie. As I mentioned, you get the shitty scene where everybody wakes up from their cryo sleep or whatever, and they all have to have their witty banter that isn't witty, because Paul W.S. Anderson could never create anything that is witty or interesting. Think of Aliens and how brilliant that scene was and how it showed you all these characters. This one is just, it's ham-fisted. It's just forced. It's terrible dialogue. The acting, as much as I love these actors and what they're trying to do, they've got nothing to work with. And the movie feels so disjointed. I know I have read some of the background stuff where there's a lot of editing that had been done, I guess because of the gore, and maybe they were trying to get some pacings, but I wish they would have left some of it in there to give me, again, some kind of connection with these crew members, because there's things like with this one, God, why do they call him Baby Bear? Oh my God, he's a grown man. I don't care if he's the youngest man on the crew. He's still a grown man to be on the ship going out to Neptune. It's Baby Bear. Come back, Baby Bear. Don't die on me, Baby Bear. I was like, God, please die. Just die now. So I'd never have to hear anybody say Baby Bear again. But apparently there's some sort of like a maternal relationship between his character and Kathleen Quinlan's character. It's just said. It's never really developed. You don't understand it. They kind of allude to her because she has a son, a sick son that she hasn't seen in a very long time, and she kind of misses him and all that. Of course you would, for that many months in space or whatever. So I guess it comes from that, but it's not really built up. There's like this animosity between the captain and his first officer, and then the one guy is just comic relief and is annoying. And then, like I said, Sean Pertwee and Jason Isaacs are just, they're just there. They're trying the best with what they got, but nothing really works for me with these characters. I didn't care. I didn't even care about Sam Neill's character. His character doesn't make sense because the way it turns so quickly. He goes from normal scientist dude to suddenly he's evil Satan man. I mean, you could have given me a little more of a path that he takes in this movie to lead to evil Sam Neill, who ironically is covered in blood, which is very orange-like. All he needed was a bad comb over, and he would have been very similar to a certain... Oh, no, I'm not going to do another one. Oh, he's making fun of the prison again. What's wrong with me today? I don't know. But yeah, there's nothing interesting with these characters. You don't really get any good payoffs. They all have these little things in their past that the ship is trying to use to scare them for some reason. I don't know why the ship is trying to scare them, because the first crew, they just had this big, massive, it looked like a orgy from Hellraiser or something, where they're tearing each other's bodies apart and all that stuff. So why is that, but we don't get that with this crew? Wouldn't everything lead to that? Isn't that the idea? I don't know what the entity or the evilness wants from this crew. It just doesn't make any sense. Are they trying to get to Earth to possess everybody on Earth? We don't know. Or we're just going to live on this ship and inhabit it with these 4 or 5 people? I don't know. It really, again, this movie... Once you scratch under the surface layer of this movie, it just completely smacks you in the face with its stupidity, its lack of logic, and really just the plagiarism that is on display on that screen. But that's Paul W.S. Anderson. He's about as original as a Xerox machine. I tell you, I get no respect. No respect. Another negative, as I mentioned, it's not really scary. There's a lot of jump scares. That's pretty much the whole movie. There's a few creepy moments here and there, but for the most part, it's just someone's hear something and they get real quiet and go, what is, and then something appears beside them or behind them or something. It's just crap. It's not aliens. It really, I don't know. It just seems like such a slam dunk for a concept to nail. God damn, Paul W.S. Anderson just cannot. Right? And yet he keeps getting movies. People keep giving him money. I don't know. I guess his trash makes enough money that people don't care. Have I covered all the negatives? I mean, we got a wasted cast, a wasted premise, and plagiarism or honoring of other films in the past. Yeah, yeah. I don't like this movie for my overall thoughts of the film. I will tell you, I just don't like it. I will say I'm a little harsh on it. I don't understand why people have grown to hold this movie in such high esteem. If you watch it, just watch it with a brain and go, what the fuck is this? No offense. I'm sorry. If you like this movie, okay, be offended. Be offended. I don't care. There's only 3 people listening anyway, so what the hell difference does it make? Yeah, I never really got the whole cult classic status of this movie. I just think it's not a very good movie. I will say, as much as I've trashed it, it is actually watchable. As I mentioned, this is probably Paul W.S. Anderson's best movie, mostly because he copied 3 other movies to make it. So at least it moves along. I think it's like an hour and a half long. So you're not going to waste a whole lot of your time. And, it's got a few jump scares and some gore, but God, I just, it is so dumb in so many parts. It drives me crazy. And I think, how could you do that? You had, like I said, great premise and great cast. I think with Paul W.S. Anderson, if you had a script written by William Goldman and you handed it to Paul W.S. Anderson, and if you had, I don't know, pick somebody, Steven Spielberg, basically storyboard the whole movie shot for shot, that would make it an instant classic or at least a crowd-pleasing movie that would make billions of dollars. And he gave Paul W.S. Anderson these storyboards. If you had John Williams come in and say, here, you don't have to pay me $1. Here's this amazing score, better than Jaws, better than Star Wars, better than Raiders. It's the greatest score ever in the history of movies. Here, take it, Paul W.S. Anderson. If you had a cast as great as this cast, if you had a better cast, if you had Denzel Washington and Paul Newman, and you had, I don't know who else, you had Kate Blanchett, you had Paul Giamatti, because I love Paul Giamatti, so I got to throw him in there. If you had this amazing, even better cast, nothing but Oscar winners and Oscar nominees, and put it in this movie, say, here, Paul W. Sanders, here it is. It's gift wrapped for you, right here. Somehow, some way, he would make the most annoying, stupid, trite, unimaginative piece of junk that you have ever seen. I guess that's a long way around to say Paul W. Sanderson probably screw up a wet dream. But as this is a movie-related podcast or show, I thought that would be a little bit better. Tell me what you thought about that one. So overall, if you wanted to watch it, if it was on TV, check it out. Maybe it's as bad as I think it is, and you'll agree with me, and you'll have a good laugh. Or maybe it's better than I say it is, and you'll be like, what the fuck is he talking about? But you would be wrong, naturally, because obviously I have my own podcast and YouTube channel, so I am way smarter about movies than you are. But yeah, like I said, it's watchable. It'll pass a couple hours. You got like a rainy Sunday afternoon and it's on. Go ahead, check it out, have a few laughs at the stupidity on display. But so there you go, Levi. There's my review for Event Horizon. Oh, I think Levi's probably never going to listen to the show again. That's why I need more of you to participate. So if you're still here, please follow and subscribe to the show. Answer the movie trivia contest. I gave you like 3 of them. You get a point for each one you get right, and then next month I'll add them all up, and you could be the one who picks a movie for me to review. It won't be Event Horizon because that's out of the way. So I'll never have to watch that movie again. Thank you, Jesus. Praise the Lord. So anyway, if you're still listening again, yeah, leave me a review, play the game, get in touch with me, tell me how you thought I did. Should I say all my social? Instagram's the best way to find me, at Cinematic Traveler Pod. My email address, thecinimatictravelerpod@gmail.com, or you can just leave something in the comments or answers to the contest in the comments and I'll find them. If you're another podcaster or YouTuber, help me, because my show is Oh boy, it's not doing so good. I mean, after listening to this episode, you're probably like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. But if you want me to come on your show, I'll be more than happy to do that. Or if you want to come on my show, I generally do new releases every week. Next weekend, I believe we have Jurassic World Afterbirth. Actually, it's Jurassic World Rebirth. I wonder how many people are going to make that Afterbirth joke. Probably a lot. I don't know really how excited I am for that movie, but it does have Scarlett Johansson in a tank top, and she appears to be very sweaty in the scenes of the movie I have seen. So, yeah, I'm sold. I'm a simple man. A simple, simple man. Now, before I go, I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to this train wreck of an episode. Please come back. I tell everyone I know I've got the smartest and sexiest audience in all the podcast universe. You never fail to live up to those high standards. And as you are traveling around on this blue and green ball, bouncing through the cosmos, trying to avoid watching Event Horizon ever again, I need you to do one thing for me. Go out there and do that voodoo that you do so well.
All right, show's over. I'm tired.